All right, so we'll get started. For those of you who have just joined in and log in again, once again, welcome for my CAS 360 Singapore Level 2 sessions. I am Jennifer, be your trainer for today's training to go through your Level 2 session for CAS 360. So again, quick housekeeping matters. For the questions, kindly post your questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. And if you like to get the link for today's manual, you can find it in the webinar chat that I've just posted as well. Do note that all attendees will be on mute in this session as well. All right. So for those of you who have went for my level ones, I know that we've covered on mostly the basic of maintaining your company data, unloading the data, and also generating the documents. So these are the basic fundamental features within CAS 360 software to help you automate your workflows. So what we're going to cover a little bit more today is more of the advanced features in CAS 360. So in lesson number 1, we'll cover on reports. We do have a feature that allows you to generate different types of managerial reports to help you keep track of your clients' information. We also have the ability to generate a full company register set for each company you like. So instead of having to just generate based on a particular type, like whether it's a officer register or auditor or members register, you can download based on a company level. So in level 1, we were going to learn how to generate firstly a company reports. So how we generate a company reports. We're also going to learn how to generate a people group report, which is essentially a very similar report to company, but instead this is extracting out information you recorded for a particular person or a corporate contact. So if you recall storing your information in the contacts, the global contacts page, you can actually generate a report in CAS 360 based on those data fields. We're also going to learn how to streamline your annual reports on lesson number 2, which includes how to navigate your AGM and annual return alerts. So as you know, on your main dashboard of CAS 360, on the left-hand side, you are able to see different types of important key dates alerts, specifically for your AGM and annual returns. Also learn in lesson number 2 how to generate a company listing report. So this particular report is essentially very useful when you want to have a full list of all the companies who has the upcoming AGM or financial year end and so on. You can generate that and help you keep track of your important key dates like your AGM and annual returns. And also in lesson number 2, we'll learn about how to process a company status change. So essentially, these the company status change will affect the type of questions and declarations that you have to go through when preparing your annual return. So these are like prerequisite things that you can do before you can even generate or prepare your annual returns. Now, lesson number 3 will cover more on the actual preparation. So here we'll learn firstly how to generate your XBRL financial statements. So we do have this feature available in CAS 360. If you are using an XBRL or you're preparing XBRL, you can download it out the preparation tool and also install it onto your working computer. And after which we will are going to go through how to prepare the annual returns, right? And also preparing the AGM documents itself. So this is one of the very common questions. How do we generate that? So we'll learn that in lesson number 3. Lesson number 4 will cover on the multi-company changes. So this feature is very, very useful when you are generating a multi-company change across multiple companies. whether it's a registered office address or if you have a particular contact that has multiple office holdings across multiple companies in your list, you can do a bulk change, whether it's bulk appointment or bulk resignation, using our multi-company changes. Lesson number 5, we'll do more on digital signing. So we'll teach you how to set up your digital signing account. So if you are using the enterprise account for Adobe Sign, enterprise account also for DocuSign, as you know that we do have integration with them. However, there are a few important informations. If you are in the process of deciding which digital signing to look out for, there are a couple of things that you need to remember, especially if you're using Adobe Sign or if you choose to sign up for a Adobe Sign or DocuSign account. And lastly, and also your settings. So in your settings, we're going to learn how to have an overview of what we can adjust in CAS 360 under your settings. That will include your customization of your email templates that you send out from CAS 360 to your clients, customizing the look and feel of your document templates. So this is will teach you how to upload those custom templates that you have, how to download the ones from CAS 360. And also we're going to learn how to set up your email settings. So how do we, if you want a custom email, for example, sending to your company's email domain, coming from email domain, instead of the no reply, we do have that feature. And lastly, your automated free-form documents as well. So I forgot to mention under the settings, I'm also going to cover how to set your global automated document reminders, particularly very useful if you want to remind your clients about the upcoming AGMs, the day few months ahead before the AGM date or based on the financial year end date. All right. So I'm just going to close this one. So just to give you a bit of a preview, so the manual that I've posted on the webinar chat, this is the link below. For easy navigation, I'm going to be using this manual along the way as well. And any text that is in blue, this will bring you specifically to the content or the topic that I'm covering at that moment. You can just simply click on it to bring you to that particular content or exercise. Right, so I'll go straight to my software. So again, just a recap, when you log into CAS 360, you will see the main dashboard of your company selection. Navigation toolbar will be on your left-hand side of the screen, and your learning and resource hub, and also your support ticket, including and your notification toolbar, and also your app switchers can be found on the top right of your screen. Right. So just gonna quickly. So the first lesson that we're gonna learn is on the topic of reports. So we have different types of reports available in CAS 360, and these can be found in your reports tab. So we have categorized it based on a company report. We also got trust. So if you're managing Australia or New Zealand and you inputted some trust in it, we are able to generate trust reports. Other reports, including your people group reports, address usage. So we did cover a little bit of this one on our level 1. People group record is quite similar to your company list, company report, which we'll cover in a while. And also generating a full company register set. So if you want to generate all the registers for a particular company, this is where you can generate it in your reports under company registers. You also have your compliance reports, your AML reports. So if you've been exploring our particular tab in your company listing, so over here, so I'm going to just show you an example. You will see there is a compliance tab over here that allows you to enable you to fill up the due diligence. Instead of being using a form, you can actually input that in data information as part in your compliance tab as part of a company profile, and you can download a compliance report. But for this exercise, lesson 1, we're going to cover more on generating a company report. So going back to my reports tool under company report, you will find these feature company report. So whenever you generate a report, CAS 360 is able to provide you different types of report filters and settings. Some reports may have limited features in their report filters and settings, so it depends on which report that you're generating. For company reports, it has more comprehensive filters and report settings that you can adjust as well. So I'm just going to quickly go through these filters. So you can filter based on jurisdiction or agents. Essentially, you will select your corpus agent. By definition, here is for Singapore context, it's your corpus agent. You can also backdate. So if you have any, you want to find out the company status backdated, you can just simply backdate it over here. Otherwise, by default, it will select your today's date. You've also have the ability to filter based on company status. If you wish to, let's say, download a company report based on a strike-off, you can. Or if you want to remove them, you can simply remove them. So you can see that your filtered list will be decreased. So now it's 75. So my active companies are actually 79 companies. You can also switch on whether it's a current client only. If it's not a current client, including the ones that, not so active or just operating, we can switch off that toggle buttons. These ones are really useful as well. If you want to generate, this is sometimes some users missed out this particular feature. If you want to be able to generate not just the current officers or shareholders, you want to be able to display the historical ones, the ones that have already left, you can simply switch, click on the drop-down button, select all, that will display the historical positions and holdings as well. You can also select whether based on labels. All right, so if labels are essentially like grouping up your company. So I'll quickly go through that later, as I might not have gone through that to level 1. But essentially, you can group up your company based on label. So either like account manager or, or a particular team members, you can group them up using label. And also download combined files. So if, for example, you've selected multiple companies in to generate the company reports, it will just combine all that report in one single PDF file. If you do not wish to do that, you can just simply switch off the toggle button right here. And your report settings, you have different types of report settings as well. Some of the fields, you have additional advanced options. So for example, company address, if you wish to display the previous company address, you can simply switch on the toggle button. Similarly for officers, if you do not wish to display the place of birth, for example, or date of birth, you can just switch off that toggle in that report. And your member shareholders, if you do not wish to disclose the full address of the shareholder, you can switch off that toggle button as well. So here you can see at the very bottom, you have the ability to also add in to display if there is a registrable controller for that company's nominee shareholder, or for Hong Kong's case, it's more like significant controller. So if you don't want this to be displayed, you can just switch off that. And any additional notes as well, if you've added any types of notes, add notes for a company, you can display that in CAS 360. So once you've saved that settings, you can now select the company that you wish to generate. So for example, I'll just select these ones, maybe the other one as well. And click export. So it will generate, so based on the report as of today, whatever information as of today's date, it will generate out those information. So again, if you recall, I have switched on the previous address to be displayed. So the previous address has been displayed in my report as well. All right. So that's that. So I think I might not have do this. See if you can do a multiple ones. So you can do multiple documents as well if you wish to do a multiple, and you can see that it will download a PDF file with all those separated PDF per company. So instead of a single PDF file. So that's for company reports. Now we have a similar report, but on a contact level. So if you recall all this that you stored in contacts, we are able to generate a report format through the people group report. So here I'll click on people group, and similarly, we do have filters available for you. So in people group report is a bit lesser that you have. You can only filter based on current or all office holdings. And you have your report settings, so you can adjust which information you like to display for that particular officer. So here I've selected contact identifier, officer's positions, if this contact has multiple positions in multiple firms. Similarly for the shareholders, guarantors, and so on. So I'll switch off some of the information. For example, I don't want to really display this information. So we do have a lot, and if I export it, it will prompt me that at least one person, so I haven't selected, so I need to select one. So do an example over here, Andy. So here it will display Andy, his addresses, previous address, his position, and whether he was resigned, his shareholdings to multiple companies, him as a registrable controller for multiple companies. If he's a nominee director as well, it will display. So if you have switch on the toggle button, it will also display in the report. So again, this report is based on the date as of to date. So if you want to backdate them, again, you can backdate the date. So that's for people group report. Then the next report we can generate for lesson number 1 is also what we call the full company register set. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to generate not just one register for that company, but all the register for that. So we call that full company register set. So in this this feature, you can simply click on company set. And again, we do have different filters available for you. All agents, report date, if you want, again, backdated. And let's say if you only want to select all and want to select companies under CorpSec Team A to filter, you can filter that as well. So here, I'll just simply use one company. For example, over here, I'm going to select that. And again, you have the ability to select what register you like to include in that full set, full pack. So for example, I've switched off some of the registers like the auditors. I didn't switch on the toggle. I don't want to include my director's interest as well, still registry and so on. The rest I have included them in my report. So save that settings and simply export. So you have an option whether single PDF per company or multiple PDF per company. So what it means is that if if you've selected multiple companies to generate the full set register set, single PDF means is that all the register will be combined in one PDF file. Whereas multiple PDFs per company is that it will separate your registers in individual PDFs. So one PDF for register of officers or directors, one PDF for register of members, and so on. So I'm going to just do another example again. So just to show to you how it looks like. Here, I'm going to choose multiple PDF instead. And once you click that, you will see this notification. Your register are being exposed. You will be notified in your notification tool. So click OK. So you'll see on my notification tool over here, I've got a notification that says that my documents are ready. So if I download this, you can see that this is my company register. They're all in one zip folder. The other one's going to be just a single PDF. Download for here. Okay, so need to open the file. Just gonna quickly open the file. So this is an example of one single PDF. They're all combined together. Well, multiple PDFs over here. So just show to you how it looks like. It looks something like this. So it will create a PDF file per register. Right, so that's how we choose whether it's a single PDF or multiple PDFs in your full company register set. Right. So any questions so far, particularly on this topic? All right. If there's no questions, now we're going to learn how to do our prerequisite maintaining our annual returns before we even prepare the annual returns in CAS 360. So lesson number 2 is helping us streamline our annual returns using different types of tools and features. The first one will be in your main dashboard. So going to my company tab, you will see in your company tab this filter called advanced filter. Now, if you are new users and you're not able to view this particular tab, just make sure that you expand this arrow as well to expand that out so that you'll be able to view the filter. Now, for alerts in for specifically for Singapore, we have only annual returns limited annual returns and also your AGM and also your email CDD compliance alert KYC. The rest are more specific to other jurisdiction. So usually a quick tip when you are navigating this alert is that simply select other jurisdiction and filter based on Singapore. This will not only automatically filter only Singapore companies on your company selection, but it will also filter Singapore only alerts, which includes your AGM, annual returns, your document deadlines that you set up, and your AML compliance CDD. So what I want to go through is your AGM and annual return alerts. So when you're setting up and you're managing CAS 360, you will notice this particular content over here, column over here called alerts. Now the alerts keep track based on the company key date that you have input in your general details. So an example is that over here, if I were to click on the company and scroll the way under my general details, scroll the way down to my company dates, you can see right over here, these are my key dates. So my annual return due date was in October, financial year end date was in on March. I didn't have any annual return last filed. So if it's a new company, usually you don't have these ones. And then I've got my AGM. So just put this basic one over here. A good rule is that as much as possible, your company dates are up to date so that you get accurate alerts in the system. So CAS 360 foundationally, it depends on the data that you input onto the software. So if you don't have a up-to-date information, you will receive discrepancy or inaccurate alerts for your particularly AGM and annual returns. So just going to put this in just a record, click save. So this particular company, for example, if I were to go there for it, you can see that I have a alert pumped up. Now, going back to my alerts over here, what's great about AGM alert is that it will also do a subcategories of the alerts based on financial year end, AGM date due, and whether there's an AGM due date that already passed, which means it's past the actual due date, which is one example is Cherry Team. So you can filter that based on that. If you want to work on, for example, the company that's already a due date has passed. So you can see these are the ones that I have not done anything for this company. And also this most importantly, your financial year and date approaching. So, and your due date. So in each of these alerts, so for example, this company here, if I click onto that alert, it will recommend me the corporate actions I need to do for this company. So for example, here, I've got this company over here. This one's already quite some time ready. So required to hold an AGM as well for this company. And the AGM has to be done before 31st of December. So here it will also tell me prepare AGM documents, applied extension, exempted, and so on, or send a reminder. So depending on the type of sub alert that you're selecting, it will recommend you the actions required for that. Because this is an AGM, so it will recommend to you, these are the actions that you can do for that AGM. Whether it's you need to prepare now, let's say they already done the AGM, so you have to prepare the documents. This will bring you to your returns page over here. Now, going back to the alerts, again, we do have that, the AGM as well. So if you need to, for example, exempted applied extension, and simply add in your extension, financial year end date, AGM due. You can switch on the toggle button, save AGM and your return due dates, for example. So let's say this is the one. Applied extension. Sorry about that. So essentially what you can do is can select the actions that you need to be done for that company. So I think I might miss that 126 company over here. Okay, over here. So you can apply the extension and then do the necessary action as well. Or if it's exempted, then you can click on exempted as well. Right. So going back to that, so aside from the AGM, you also have your AGM due pass. So this is to notify you that it's already past the due AGM date. So you need to prepare all that information. And something to take note as well, it can be a little bit confusing on how to navigate, as each of these alerts has different color categories. So similarly for annual returns, you have annual review receive, for example. So again, I'm just going to select these ones. In the annual returns, you have annual return due, upcoming, date has passed, process not filed, process, and overdue. Okay. So again, if you click on that, it will prompt you that it's already over. So you need to even process the annual returns, already past the deadline of annual returns. So you need to quickly do the necessary action. So what you want to make sure of is that you don't receive these ones when you're processing. So a lot of times in your CAS 360, you will still receive that even if you know that you already filed the annual returns in the software with ACA actually. So the best rule and practice is always go back to the client's company dates and make sure that these fields have been up to date. So for example, over here, I've already filed my annual returns. For example, let's say I did it on the 31st. That, click save, so that that particular company will no longer in my list. It should, so haven't prepared over here, but you need to make sure that you have to update these correctly. So similarly, another step that you'll need to do for these ones. So let's say you've got, it doesn't reflect over here. What you'll need to do is you have to go to the returns. So remember the return page, locate that particular company. And if you already filed the annual returns for this particular company, it's not reflecting in CAS 360, you'll need to make sure to go to options and select mark as filed. So any supporting documents, whether it's the business profile or the copy of ACRA annual returns, you can attach that, put in the file dates, and click save. So this is much more a better option to update because it will not appear in your returns, in your alert, and that company should be working just fine. You can see that it will update the annual return last filed. So something also to take note as well is that you need to make sure that you update all the dates. So for example, financial year end date. So if I were to put my financial year end date, if you don't want to input it manually, you can also calculate on the next one. So for example, I've already filed these ones. So I'm gonna do the next one, 2025, for example, so that it will calculate the next annual return due date for next year and the next AGM. And click save. So these are very important practices that you need to do when you're maintaining the key dates. Make sure that these dates have been filled up correctly. And if you have any, for example, alerts over here that shows that it's still required to process the AGM, or it shows, for example, your annual return here. These are quite common ones, like these ones. If you've already done the process, you can simply go to your returns. I'll do one more time. So again, I'm selecting one that date has passed. So let's probably use 20th September. So that's the one for here. So I'll go to my returns, 20 September. Make sure I'm marked as filed. So again, I'm just going to put this as today's date. I think I'll use another company. I think there's some error specifically. Here, I'm probably just going to select one, the recent one over here. Let's say, for example, this company, I've already done the annual returns. So again, I'll just go to my returns, search for that, and mark as filed. Now, the reason why you had to do this, because again, currently we don't have the integration with ACRA or lodgement process. So at this stage, you'll have to manually key in. And secondly, is that anything that you do outside of CAS 360, like for example, filing annual returns, the system is not able to detect that. So you need to update it manually over here. So here I'm just going to click save, mark as file, so that it will no longer um, in my list. And I will need to make sure that that company that we've just selected earlier on, we've updated the key dates as well. You need to make sure to update that. So I might have lost the company earlier on. So essentially, the annual return filed will be here, and then you'll need to make sure that you update the financial year end date and the next upcoming AGM for the next year. So that's going through the alert systems in CAS 360. Now, another features that is very essentially important when you're managing annual returns into the software is using our company listing report. So again, going back to the listing report, under the company reports, you can locate what we call the company listing. The company listing, again, it will allow you to have different types of filter. You can rearrange based on your annual return dates. You can also select the review if you want it based on 6 months first or 4 months, you can do that. Or agents, you can filter based on your status of the company, the class, company type, and the labels. And again, report settings allows you to manage what are the columns that you want to display in that report. So here I want to generate in that report to include my company type, company status, my financial year and date, AGM, previous AGM, and so on. So here I'll just switch off the review. This is much more particularly on Australia and New Zealand. And I suppose I'm happy with the whole entire report. I can just simply save the settings and click export. So here it will display all your the key dates. This is particularly very useful if you want to see that whether your key dates are up to date, whether you've input all the respective dates accurately for your housekeeping matters for every quarter. This report can be very useful as well. All right, so another topic that I want to cover in your lesson number 2 is your company status, which is essential, particularly important actions to be done before you prepare your annual returns. So again, going back to the company right here. So what we'll do is we're going to do the company that I've just created the other day, the 25th Street Trading Company. And here, if the company has changed its status, it's very important to process that change before you even processed the annual returns. The reason means because these change the company status will also determine the kind of annual return processed and also declaration that will appear on your annual returns. So for example, over here, I'll just put this as a standard private limited exempted, limited by class, click save. So this one doesn't have, so I'm just gonna quickly check. So I don't have any auditor for this company, right? And if I were to go, for example, for here, all my company is true and correct. If I go to my returns, and type in that company to search for this company over here. When I click on prepare documents, before I can even prepare the documents, CAS 360 will go through different questions pertaining to the status of the company. It will determine what type of documents required to generate. So for this case, if it's it will require whether it's a small group company. You can add in whether it's a solvent, insolvent, or EPC. If the financial statement is audited, you will be required to add in the auditor. For this case, I haven't added, there's no auditor for this company, so therefore it's unaudited. If it's a small company, and also if the AGM is required. If it's not required for the AGM, you can simply click no exempted to hold an AGM, for example. Right? So that's that. And so if I were, for example, I'll close these ones. So same similar company, I'm going to just search for the same company and change the status. I'll just change the status to a dormant, for example. So going back to my returns page, search for that company, prepare documents. These questionnaire will therefore be added onto your annual return preparation page. So we'll ask you whether it's not only these two questionnaires, the financial statement audited, but you will also change to dormant company, whether it's exempted from audit, whether the company has relevant exempted from preparing financial statement, for example. So these are one of a few things that you'll need to do to make sure that before you can prepare your annual returns for the company, all these informations are true and correct so that they are up to date as well. Right. Any question on this particular topic? Right. If there's no questions, so now we're going to go to the next lesson number 3, next stage, which is now we're ready to prepare an annual return filing for companies. So the first thing I want to go through is that in CAS 360, we have a tool, a preparation tool, XBureau, available for download. So to download the CAS 360 preparation tool, you can simply click on Options. So again, this can be found in your Returns and Option tab, and click on Prepare XBureau Financial Statement. As a new user of CAS 360, at the beginning, it will prompt you to install the software. So install the preparation tool. So if you haven't installed that, you can actually go over here into this page and click on this link. This will allow you to download the XBureau preparation file for you to install onto your computer. Otherwise, you will have, then you can also alternatively use with Accra. The XBureau tool is essentially a tool that we give for free for our CAS 360 users to be able to prepare XBRL with CAS 360. Now, going back to that, so I've already installed mine. I can just simply click on Prepare and select Start. So once I've done that, it will automatically prompt me to launch my XBRL preparation tool. So here, when you're starting with using, it will prompt you to key in your XBRL token. So how do we get this token? So you can click on the migration app, and If you are a user and you have limited role rights to access this, kindly make sure request your admin or the account owner of CAS 360 to provide you this access. Now, this migration tool, this link over here, is essentially can be found in your users page. So again, I'm just going to give you a bit of a recap. If you select this app switcher under users, this can be found in your admin token management. If your role settings has limited access rights, kindly contact your CAS 360 account owner to provide you the token link, the XBRL token, or give you rights to be able to generate this. Now, as an account owner, the admin of your company's CAS 360 account, you need to make sure that in the role settings, if you are assigning the user to have access to this code, make sure that under the role settings, let's assume, for example, this accountant, this person that you've invited to be an accountant role has this access over here. If this is switched off, it means that even if the accountant is, the role of that person. So let's say person A is an account, has an account role with CAS 360. If this toggle button has been switched off, he or she will not be able to access to the XBRL without the token. So always make sure that if you are struggling to launch the product preparation tool, make sure that you're logged in and enabled this migration tool for that role. So just take note of that. Now, going back to my token management. So the token management is essentially a additional security step for those who are preparing and accessing the financial statement and preparing it to XBRL. So to regenerate the code, simply click on regenerate. It will show to you that it will expire for 1 month. Copy and click onto your preparation tool. So here I'll just remove the old code and click validate. So this will give me a notification to confirm whether the company or the firm who's preparing this, the CorpSec provider is preparing this XBRL or using this is the right company. All right, so once you've click onto the XBRL, you can see that it will show to you and display the company that you have selected to prepare XBRL. It will display the username who's using this preparation tool. And for XBRL, you can either, if you're starting from scratch, you can simply click on new and fill up the information over here. So what's great about the XBRL here is that whatever information that has been stored in CAS 360, so if we go back over here, and under your general details, for example, so all the informations in your general details, your company info, for example, will be displayed into this section over here. And in XBRL, you can choose whether it's a full XBRL and simplified. And once you click simplified, your reports data fields will be updated as well based on the type of XBRL you have selected in the drop-down option. So now that it's simplified, you can see the report is simplified as well. So here you'll be able to add on the notes as well. And if you have the XBRL financial statement, you can simply copy and paste the financial statements, and it will do a auto tagging onto the fields. If it didn't automatically auto tag, you can just simply drag and drop the items to match the field in the left-hand side. Now, alternatively, if you have already prepared or you want to import your previous XBRL file, you can simply click Open and import your previous XBRL. So you can see it will show to me that the UN number didn't match. So here I will exit out my XBRL and I'll go back to my returns to select the company with the right XBRL. So again, options, prepare XBRL, start the XBRL to launch your preparation tool. So you can see this is the company, and I can just upload the ones. This should be the correct one. And whatever that has been stored in that zip file, the XBRL file, it will automatically pull out and populate those information. So you can see I don't have any information at the moment over here. So it's not up to date. But you also notice that whatever it has been recorded from that previous file, it will automatically update your report fields over here on the left. So this one's not really a very good an example, I would say. We do have a video over here, but I'm just going to exit out from this section, as I do not have a live company or actual company, so I'm not able to process these particular tool. So something that I wanted to also to update as well is that when you validate your XBRL that you have prepared, the validation will come through from Accra. So we have integration with Accra on the validation for XBRL. It will be like on the back end live, and it will send you a report if there's any possible or genuine error. So I'm just gonna quickly show to you an example over here of how an XBRL looked like. All right, so this is how we display an actual XBRL. So you can see the user over here, what she has done is that she uploaded an XBRL file from the past here to prepare the XBRL. And here you shows you to select what type of XBRL, whether it's a company level or consolidated. You can also copy and paste your full financial statement. And this will calculate for you as well. So what the user is doing is uploading another validation. This is another copy of the XBRL. So you can see on the left-hand side, it has been updated and switched to simplified version. So whatever items that has been saved into that XBRL file will be populated into the preparation tool. So this file is not limited to just CAS 360 file exclusively. As long as it's the XBRL file, even the ones that you have gotten from Accra, the ones that you prepared through the Accra XBRL preparation tool, it will be able to read that particular file in CAS 360 XBRL. So what the user is doing is running a validation. So the validation is real time, checking with Accra. They're doing, we had integration on the validation over here. And if there are any errors that has been located, Accra's validation reports, it will notify the user that there are validation errors. So here you are able to view and download the validation error. This will give you a guide on what are the errors, possible or genuine errors that has been found after the validation. So all you need is just simply correct them in the preparation tool. And you will also have a copy of the review copy of the XBRL from CAS 360. So this is pretty much your PDF copy of what you have prepared in XBRL. So what the user is going to do next is to try to correct based on the validation error that she has received. So he will just need to amend the areas that has that cause a validation error. So here they're fixing the date. So one of the errors is the key dates, the period start date and the end date. It didn't match the one in in Accra's validation. So you can see now that the fields has been updated accurately, and the user is running another validation. So again, it sends a trigger to Accra to run a validation in real time. And if there's no errors, it will prompt the user that all is clear and ready for submission. So here you can see that the validation was successful. So you can now download a much more accurate report of a successful validation report from the preparation tool. And you can simply click I confirmed that the XBRL data is complete and true. So I'm just going to stop right over here. So previously we are able to upload this XBRL file back to CAS 360 as we were back in previously we are able to do the lodgement program. Hopefully this is something that we can reinstate. But in the stage right now, if you are using if you're going to try to use the XBRL in CAS 360, so I'll just put right over here. You can simply download the document, the XBRL tool. So right over here, you're able to export, save and export. So I can either revalidate again or simply just export that file and go to Accra and upload the XBRL file together with the annual return file. So back then, here, if you are preparing the XBRL, for example, so I'm just gonna just select one example over here. You can see this section, you have what our XBR also can do is upload that file directly into the whole annual return process. But for now, because of we don't have the lodgement, this has been disabled currently, so you'll need to export it out by clicking Save and import it directly to Accra's website, annual return filing. So that's for the preparation of XBRL. Now going back to, just gonna close these ones. So any questions for XBRL and CAS 360? All right. Now before we proceed to the next topic over here, so some few things that I need to take note also for XBRL. So I've mentioned earlier on that you need to download the XBRL. Secondly is that the user role must have a XBRL functionality to get the token and also to be able to prepare XBRL, switch a toggle on. Just a recap, this can be found under role settings. We're here, switch on this toggle button and also the migration token as well. And that you have add in your registered filing agents under general details. So this is something that I highlighted in annual return in our level 1 session on Tuesday, that when you are onboarding a new client, it's a good practice to instantly add in the registered filing agents prior to your annual returns so that you can generate the XBRLs, first and foremost. Secondly, is that it will display the address of the registered filing agent for the location of registrable controller and nominee shareholder, nominee directors, shareholder, and also shareholders location. All right, so now that we've have the XBRL as well, you can now set to prepare your annual returns for your client. Now, to prepare the annual returns, simply go to your general details, to your section over here, your navigation toolbar, and just going to give you a bit of overview of what you can find in this annual returns page. So we have different categories. We've got Australia, New Zealand, Singapore available. If you're managing annual return, annual reviews for Australia, you can access these two features as well. It's not limited to just Singapore alone. But as a Singapore license holder, automatically it will bring you to your Singapore annual returns. So again, on the left-hand side, we have some filters available. You can filter your financial year and date based on this year. I put it in quite a very long one. So if I were to put in, let's say, on the 25th, it will filter down companies under for 25th. So for example, if the company doesn't fall under this financial year and date filter, it will not display in my list. Similarly, if I put it on 2026, I should not have any over here. This is what I have so far for 2026. And you can filter. So you can filter the range of the list of companies based on the financial year end range. I'll just put it on the very last of in January so I can show all the companies as well. All right. And here we've got previously we do have like comparison reports. Back then you are able to compare your data with ACAS database before you can even launch or file. So what we have right now, it's currently not available. Hopefully, we will be able to reinstate this feature back for all our CAS 360 users um, sometime next year if ACRA permits us to have access to this. But essentially, this is a very useful tool that allows you to compare your records with ACRA's record before you even file the annual returns. So just I'll give you a bit of a context with these ones. Now, so in CAS 360, to prepare, simply first you want to select or search for the company that you like to prepare. Essentially, anything that you have, the good practice over here, best practice is to filter based on the year that you like to work on. You can also do it per quarter. If you're doing, for example, between, let's say, June to 25th of December, for example, it will filter all those companies as well. So I'm just going to filter all the way down as I want to use one of my sample clients. Right over here. And again, here to prepare the annual returns, you can simply click on Prepare Documents. So each of these company, before we go through this whole process, you'll notice we have these prepared documents. Next to it will also be your option. So again, a rule of thumb, whenever you see a button option, do explore that particular button as it will give you different more sub features that helps you to extract whether it's exploring mark as filed, preparing XBRL, and also mark as file not required, for example. So I'm just going to use one company, these ones, 15 Cherry, for example. And I will want to prepare the annual returns and AGM documents. So here, based on the setup of the company from my general details, it will disclose the kind of questionnaire for this company. Again, if it's not required to hold the AGM, you can just simply select the option. Otherwise, if it's required over here to do an AGM, you can simply do that as well. So one also a very important aspect of this whole process is this tab called Annual Return Minutes data. So depending on what you need to declare in your AGM director's resolutions and your AGM members' minutes. You will need to make sure to fill up this information as well. If you do not have any information for that particular annual return year, or that particular annual FYE, financial year end date, you don't necessarily need to fill up that information. But if this information needs to be disclosed for that specific annual returns, make sure to fill up this information. So example over here, you can see that I've got reappointment of an auditor. You can see if I have a financial statement audited, I'd switch on the toggle button right over here. Automatically, it will prompt me who is the auditor, the signing auditor. You've also got whether emphasis on the matter modified as well. And you can skip that as that options. And also if you have any director remunerations and director's fees. So I'm just putting in director over here. This is the current director for that company that we selected. If you have any profit and loss. So all this information will be displayed in your director's resolution and shareholders minutes of AGM. So once I've done that, click Save and Prepare. So here I'll put in my audit date. And this will bring us to your document production. So again, a recap of document productions. Whenever you try to generate or prepare a documents or company change or even AGM documents, this will bring you to the document production. On the left-hand side, it will give you a summary of what has occurred. For this case, it's preparation of annual return filing and also preparing the AGM. So here, if you have any other items that you want to include, for example, your annual return certificates, you like to include that in the full set, you can switch on the toggle button as well. And to preview the AGM documents, you can simply click on the document over here. So I've got a template, a custom template. So usually you will have a custom template as well. So you'll see that the reappointment of an auditor has been informed as well. And your director's fee and re-election of the director. So if you have any notice of AGM as well, so for example, switching on this toggle button, it will display your notice, short notice of AGM, members' consent, and also notice of members' AGM. You simply need to switch on the toggle button to generate those documents included in your document pad. And alternatively as well, again, a quick tip, always look up into the option tab. This will allow you to control the settings for each document. So for example, over here in my members resolutions, if I were to select resolution, for example, you can see the settings specifically for a resolution type will be different. Whereas for minutes, for example, members minutes resolution, if I want to display, for example, my previous meeting minutes and attendance list, which is quite common over here, you can simply add in the attendance list and switch on the toggle button. So these ones, you can see this is the system default templates, and this is the template that I have uploaded. So we're going to go through this in the last part under lesson settings. So just going to show to you how it looks like an example. This is my uploaded template. And if I were to preview that document, for example, here, I previewed the members, it will display the template that I have uploaded and saved in my settings. So once all these documents are good, you've selected the document you'd like to generate. You can now either send the document directly to your client or download the document as well. So here you'll have your annual returns. So whatever information that you have recorded in CAS 360 for submission of annual returns, it will be recorded in the annual return report. And here, right over here, you can see that the nominee, directors, and registrable controller, it automatically declares that the location of their registers are in the registered filing agent appointments. So if you recall earlier on, that company over here, 14 Cherries, if you were to go to 14 Cherry, you can see that this is the registered filing agent that I have appointed. And the location of the registrable controller and nominee director is the same address as that filing agent as well. So automatically it will declare as registered office of the registered filing agent is where the location of these registers. And you've got all your certificate as well. So I've exported that out. This is my template. And because I've switched on the attendance list in my members settings, document setting for my members minutes and resolution, I've switched on this toggle button, so it will display my attendance list, my notice that I've enabled, and my short notice, and this is my notice for AGM. So that's that when we generate the AGM documents in CAS 360. Any questions so far? Right, so we had one question. So what was the timeline for XBRL file can be uploaded to Accra from CAS 360? At the moment, we can't really submit it, the XBRL directly from CAS 360 to Accra. They have discontinued the location where we can submit it. That's one. Accra actually discontinued that connection. Back then, we are able to do it and submit it directly to Accra. Hopefully, we will get some news from Accra on this project that they help us to reinstate back the whole lodgement, which also includes the XBRL. So at the moment, we don't have any news at this stage. So you will need to export your XBRL. I mentioned earlier on in the XBRL over here. Once you've done your validation, everything is correct, simply click the save, export it out, and you will have to log into Accra annual return file, file the annual return and upload the XBRL file there instead. Okay. So before I move on to this section over here. So when we generate the documents or annual returns, it will automatically go to your global documents. So if you recall previously, you can see when we went through on level 1, all documents that are sent out from CAS 360 or exported out from CAS 360 will be stored on CAS 360. So automatically the system will create a folder which will have the copy of what you have prepared. So if the company, for example, you have already prepared these documents for the client, you can simply mark as filed or manually filed. And a good exercise is to always go to the attachment. So this is the copy of what you prepared, and upload the supporting document like the signed copy of the AGMs and also the annual return confirmation, as a proof that you have already manually filed this particular company. So that's for preparation of annual returns and generating AGM documents in CAS 360. Right. So any questions so far for these? So with regards to the template, now the templates in CAS 360 is because it's not limited to just Singapore alone, it is actually in core to all jurisdiction, all companies, and therefore there is a limitation for some templates. So for example, if you generate the template, the document templates, they're all quite very basic. The reason being is because each and every users and service provider will have different way of customizing their documents. So some, they have 10 types of templates just for AGM alone. Some have few. What we have done is we have what we call document templates, master template settings that you can add in customize. So I'm going to cover this in a little while under settings on how we actually customize the templates so that anyone, any user who uses CAS 360 can upload their own custom templates and assign it and use that within the software as well. All right, so any question on this topic? So I'm gonna go to the next topic will be on your multi-company change, lesson number 4. So this lesson can be found, for those of you who are referring to the manual, you can go to the page 42 of the manual. So in your navigation toolbar, you will be able to find this feature called multiples. So I'm just going to quickly delete these just to show to you how it looks like. So by default, you will see an empty dashboard if you have not used and explored this particular feature. So multi-company change, when you are doing a bulk change for a company, whether it's an address or an officer, you are able to do that using the multi-company change. So it saves a lot of time, especially for cases like if you are the corporate secretary for or secretary for multiple companies and needs to be resigned, for example, you can do a bulk resignation across multiple companies, or if you get appointed to multiple companies, you can use that using our multi-company change. So first exercise we'll do is to click on new registered address. All right. So one of the common ones is changing the registered address change. This is particularly common, especially if your client is using your registered office address, and the scenario is that you've moved to another office and you need to update all the clients that uses your registered office address. So for example, over here, I'm going to just select Cherry Team. So this company has the 5 Changi Business Park address, and I want to change it to, let's say, example, Serangoon Road. So in the questionnaire, it will ask whether somebody is occupying, someone else occupying that office. You can simply just ignore this part. It will also prompt you a questionnaire whether to apply this company address to other addresses under your 14 Cherry. If yes, you can switch on the toggle button. You can switch on, let's say, even for example, the business, postal, meeting. And if it's also applicable for registers, you can switch the toggle button on. And you have these 2 options right over here. Apply, change where company register address is same. So in CAS 360, a lot of times this address is used not just by one company, but also multiple companies and multiple contacts. So you can view right over here, I've got a companies that's using the same registered address. Similarly, I have multiple or 5 contacts using this address as well. So if to enable that, you can simply click on apply that as well. And I'll just leave this as it is. I don't want to change the address for the rest of the contact. Let's assume it's just registered address for these rest of the companies and click proceed. So what the multi-company change to is that it will list all the companies that's going through a change of registered office address, and you can prepare the document first. So for this case, it's the change of registered address for this company, and you will have your director minutes and resolution. So again, these documents and templates provided, it's a very basic templates. We encourage you to customize these ones that will suit your needs or add in your own template. And you have your company change summary. So again, if I were to download this change, this document will automatically be stored in the file of 14 Cherry. And the dates for 14 Cherry will be updated. Rather, the registered address will be updated as well. This changed to 419. So if I'm going to locate this particular company, for example, just right over here, 19th May. So you can see the registered office address has been changed. So this is a great way for scenarios where if you're required to do a bulk address change, registered address change for multiple companies, multi-changed tool will be very useful. So similarly, this can be used for example, if you have bulk change of officer. So let's assume that I've got Veronica as a example, and locate Veronica as my officer, and I want to resign, for example, or let's say secretary, and resigned Veronica as a secretary. What will happen is that it will usually list down all the companies that Veronica is a secretary. So I'm gonna just select another one over here. So if I resign myself as a secretary, you can see that these all these 13 companies I am secretary. So if I need to resign them, if I'm no longer serving these clients, I can just click all these clients, click proceed, and it will automatically do a bulk resignation um, of a secretary. So we do an example. I'm not going to put all the bulk. I'm just going to select two of these companies. The first two, click proceed. And you can see right over here that Jennifer has now been resigned as a secretary for the company as of today. Again, this can be customized. You can customize and add in your text. We provide a very basic like a master template so that you can customize on your end the text paragraphs that you want to add in on those. So these are two very, very basic documents and form. And again, you can just either send or download all the document to apply the confirmation that this particular secretary has now been resigned. So this is very useful. Again, I mentioned it's very particularly useful when you are, for example, a corpsec service provider for multiple companies, and you want to hand over to someone else. For example, you're resigning, you can use a bulk, the multi-company change under officer change to do a bulk resignation. Similarly, if, for example, you have if you are a new secretary for the corpsec for multiple companies, you can appoint yourself to multiple bulk companies that you've onboarded as the secretary for the company. So instead of having to go one by one in this section, you can simply go to your multi-company change for bulk changes. All right. So any questions for multi-company change? All right. Otherwise, I'm going to go to lesson number 5, our digital signing. This content can be found on your page 48 of your manual. Now, digital signing, as you notice, whenever we generate a document, for example, right over here, I'm just going to quickly click prepare one of the documents. What you'll notice is that this digital signing has been switched on. When you see that a pen icon has been switched on or enabled, that means that your digital signing account has been linked up to your CAS 360 account. Now, to set up your digital signing, you can find this under your settings and select electronic signing. So in electronic signings, there are multiple things that you can also adjust, whether to use SMS2FA, email signers complete digital signing pack. So for example, if all the signing partners has signed and completed the documents, it will send a complete signed document to those signing partners and display all the signers' email extent. So for example, if you have a client that uses different email addresses for signing purposes, you have the ability to switch which email address they want to receive that document. So here in the electronic signing integrations, you will see what are the signing solutions that we have two-way integration with. We have Adobe Sign, DocuSign, FuSign, and PleaseSign. So one of the few things that we usually take note is that for DocuSign and Adobe Sign, because they're much more larger enterprise software solution, they do have a minimum requirement of a package that you need to purchase before they can even switch on this integration. We always do recommend FuSign and PleaseSign as they're much more easy when it comes to the kind of plan that you need to purchase with them. And to find out more about what plan to choose, you can always go to Singapore Help, digital signing. And this will give you a bit of a summary of what each of digital signing platform. So these digital signing, what's very important is that before you even switch on, you must make sure that you've purchased a account with them, a separate plan. We don't provide these licenses within the CAS 360 software. This needs to be purchased separately with the digital signing provider. So I can share this link for everyone to have a view. So Adobe Signs and DocuSign, it's much more complex. They will need, for CAS 360 user who wants to have or purchase DocuSign or Adobe Sign, you must have a specific enterprise account or advanced solutions. Please do reach out to DocuSign, Adobe Sign on this one, as they will be able to answer you if you pursue to purchase DocuSign or Adobe Sign. Otherwise, you also have the FuSigns and PleaseSign as our options as well. Going to also share this as different digital signing platform have also different type of settings when you're setting up and linking as well. Now, going back to that, to link up your digital signing, you're going to go to your electronic signing and select electronic signing integration and select go to BGL integration. This will bring you to your digital signing page. So I'm going to go back once again. And you can see that I've got two active ones already linked up. So these, my DocuSign and FuSign has already been linked up. You can see that it's active, but my system default is DocuSigns, which means that whenever I send a document with a digital signing link, it will use my DocuSign account instead. Now to set up your the respective digital signing account, you can see right over here, we have this particular icon, the settings icon, and this will prompt you to connect your digital signing account with CAS 360. And once you've connected that, so I'm just going to go back to my CAS 360. And you can see that these two, you can see this is how it will show you whether your account has been linked up successfully when you see that it's active. So go to one of the documents, for example, we'll just do a very simple transaction over here. For example, we've got my shareholder. I want to print out my share transfers to prepare the documents. And you can see right over here, we've got my digital signing already switched on. And in your document production page, you will see this button over here called electronic signing option. Now, if you choose to link up multiple digital signing accounts onto your CAS 360, You can switch between your signing provider. My FuSign has been linked up as well. I will just use my DocuSign as my default. Here you can also have a signed the email the signers complete signed documents. So once everyone has signed the document, they will receive a copy of completed signed document. You can switch on that. And for security, if you want to add additional security layer, we have enable use SMS as 2FA for signatories. So this is particularly important. If you wish to enable the 2FA, you want to make sure that each contact assigned to that document, each signing partner has a mobile number attached to it. I'm just going to keep it as it is. So click save. So in this scenario, once you switch on the digital signing platform, you will need to make sure to select these options send all instead. So instead of download all, it will be send all. This will bring you to your preview page to allow you to preview the content of your email template with the digital signing content and also the digital signing link. Now, if you want to see how your email, for example, how this will look like, you can always CC your email as well. Again, in this content, you can customize the document. Say if there are any changes, I need send through the changes before you proceed, for example. Things like that. So you can add that in, and you can see that this email has been locked. So this email, it will lock the email that you have selected. If you're not using the same, a different email, for example, you've got a different email address linked to this particular email, you can select the email address over here. So currently right now, all my contacts is linked to this email, but if you have a different email address that you want to use and send, you can simply select from here. So once I click send, this will directly send to my client's inbox. So I'm just going to quickly go to one of my inboxes to see if I receive that. Let's do an example. So again, when you sent an email directly including your digital signing, to able to review whether he has successfully sent through, you can always go to the message, click outbox, or rather outbox, and you can see that this document that I've just sent out to the client with digital signing on it, it has sent successfully to that recipient. So here, and I'm going to just open up one of my email here. So I've got over here an example. I've received this email. This was the content earlier on. And instead of a attached PDF right over here, so you can see because there were multiple signing partners in this, instead of sending with attached document. If you don't have a digital signing, usually it sends a attached document. If you have switch on, it will create a link to the digital signing. So let's assume that I am the user, one of the clients that needs to sign this document. And I can just simply click on digital signing. James Chan, review the documents. So click over here. So let's assume that I am signing a document. So once one of the signing parties have signed the document, it will prompt me that this is email me the signed copy or download a signed copy. So you will only download or email the copy where he signed the documents. It will not show the rest of the signing partner. Now, going back to CAS 360, if I were to refresh this, so essentially you will receive a notification icon right over here to prompt you that one of your clients have digitally signed the document. So you can see right over here, it just arrived, it just sent through. We've got James Chan digitally signed the document. Now, going back to one of my documents over here. So let's sign all the documents just to display how a completed signed document will look like and how CAS 360 gets notified for it. So let's assume I've got Veronica Tan. This time around is Veronica Tan signing the document. Again, we're just going to do a very quick one. Like finished. So same process as the other last documents. So what I'm demonstrating right now is essentially how it will look for one of the signing partners when they click on the digital signing link. So again, it will prompt me as the signer that I can email me a signed copy or download the signed copy. So going back to my CAS 360, you'll see that I will receive new notification pertaining to that digital signing. So you can see that it just went through I've just received a notification that Veronica Tan has signed the document. I should be receiving another one as well from another person. So these also are depending on the speed of your internet. So currently right now, my internet's not, the speed's a little bit slower in my end, so I will only receive it after a while. But that's essentially how the digital signing will look like. So see whether I've signed everything, including myself. You can see that you have a copy of what it was sent. You can also put in unread. So I've already read that. It has been digitally signed. All right. So let me just quickly check one more time if we have signed all the document. So this is my hard copy of the digital signed document that we have signed earlier on. I hope so. We're having a bit of some issue with digital signing, but just going to give you an example of how a digital signing would look like when everybody has completed the signing. So essentially what happens is that firstly, it will send a notification to you that each of the signing partner has signed, depending on the timestamp. So you can see that, for example, over here for this company, this Mary Ann has signed the document on at this time and date. Similarly for Jennifer, and because this document only required two signatories for this set of documents, CAS 360 will get notified from DocuSign that these documents have been completely signed by all signing partners. So to view that, you can simply click View, and this will bring you to the file. You have your trace number. These are all the documents you have prepared, and these are the document that all the signing partner has signed. So you will only send the full complete signed document once everybody has signed the document. And in CAS 360, so we've gone over here an example. It will notify you that the document has been signed by the client. And in your options, so here, how did I end up in this page is I simply went to the documents. It brought me to my global documents under filter electronic signing. And I've got over here history. So in your option tab for each document file, you have the ability to view the historical trail. So this includes your DocuSign as well. So for here, I've got the timestamp of when I have prepared the document, when it was sent to the client, and the time that all the clients has signed the documents completely. So the power of the digital signing is that you will receive the signed copy automatically from the client without having to chase them for the signed copy. So as long as they've digitally signed it using through those 4 digital signing platform, when everything is complete, you will receive the signed copy stored into that folder and automatically change the status into signed by client on which date. So I think we had like 2 of these. So again, another example, what we have just shown earlier on. You can see that this is what we have just prepared. This is what we've prepared. This is what we have signed. So you can see that all the copy, Jennifer, Veronica, and James has signed the documents. And for DocuSign, for example, depending on the digital signing you're using, they will give you a type of confirmation letter. For the case of DocuSign, they provide a certificate of completions with the timestamp of when these digital, when did the signing happen and occur. So that's the power of using digital signing in CAS 360. Now, before I proceed to the next topic, any questions so far? Right, so I'm going to go to my lesson lesson 6, which is on the settings on the page 55 of your manual. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to navigate your settings tools, which includes helping you to customize your email template that you send from CAS 360 to your clients, your document templates, email settings, and setting up your automated document reminder. So here an example, we're going to go to our setting tabs. So if you recall, in our level 1 sessions, in the settings, this is where you can set up your lodgement agent. So particularly specific for Singapore, you will have to add in your CorpPass information instead of individual filing agent, as this because that ACRA needs to know which service provider is lodging the annual returns or the changes or preparations to give access to those service provider for lodgement. As for now, this is not available, but in future, this will be essentially important. So it's best to set up your filing, your corpus information in your lodgement agent. And also, once you set this up, you can assign this to the company under their register filing agent field in your general details. So aside from lodgement, you can see we got your document templates, email templates, SMS. SMS is not yet available for Singapore. You've got your email settings, electronic sign-in, and automated reminders. So the first thing I want to go through is your email settings. So email settings, you have the ability to control how your emails sent to the client. So for example, right over here, by default, when we were sending email to your clients, I'll use an example to one over here, a company over here. So one of this, I'm just going to check one. So in CAS 360, by default, it will use a no reply at CAS 360. So this is something that it's provided or set up quite foundationally by AWS. We work with AWS when it comes to data hosting, and we've been assigned with the no reply at CAS 360. So I'll show you an example how it looks like. An example over here. You can see that in my email, you can see that it's no reply at CAS 360. Now, how do we make sure, for example, I want my email, my actual email address domain to appear as well so that a client knows that it's really coming from me. It's not as a spam or anything. So you can do that by simply going to your email settings, and you can either BCC or CC your email, your own email. Now, what if you want to change your email domain that's appearing onto your client's inbox? We can do that as well, but this one, of course, you can request for custom email address to send from CAS 360. What you'll need to do is want to make sure that this is a general email that accessible by all your team members. What I mean by that is, for example, if I'm going to request this email address to be sent from my from my company's email domain, instead of using my email jpabelona, for example, at BGL, I will use my general email used by my team members. So let's say corpsec at bgl dot corp.com.sg, for example. So this general email that's accessible by the rest of the team can be will be used, and because the setup fee is $500 per email change. So that's, take note of that. So if you're going to request for your own specific email domain, it will be 500 per email domain setup. Now, in this section over here, so you have the ability also to adjust whether you want your client to reply directly to your email. So if you recall, your username is your email address. So in, for example, right over here, so using another example, this email address over here. If I want to do a reply, so that will automatically go to my JPabilona. So it's not going to send to my no reply, CAS 360. Automatically, it sends to my username, which is my email address. So to enable that, simply switch on this toggle button so that every time your client replies to that email thread, it will automatically get sent to your actual email address. We also have this preparer. So if you recall, like in CAS 360, you are able to prepare, review the documents before sending it to the clients. And you have the option whether these email is getting sent direct from the preparers, from the preparer itself or from the reviewer, which means your manager who is sending that email to the client. And again, as mentioned earlier, if you want to display how you want to see how the email that is sent by CAS 360 to display in an actual inbox, you can just CC that. So that's for email settings. Now, the next I want to go through is this automated reminder. So in CAS 360, you have the ability to set a bulk AGM reminder to your client. To do that, simply go to your AGM. And usually what you will see is that this toggle is switched off. To enable that feature, simply switch on the toggle button. And you can see I've already done an example over here. You can set up multiple reminders for AGM, up to 6 reminders. So here an example, I have set up a 90 days before the deadlines, sent at 11 a.m. my local time by email, and the deadline is based on AGM due date. You can choose whether you want based on financial year end date or AGM due date, depending on that. So an example over here, if I want an AGM reminder based on my financial year end date, and I can just put like 10 days before, for example, 5 days before, just to remind them that the AGM is coming. So therefore, financial year end or any FS audit required needs to be already prepared. And then click save. Now you also see over here that we've got different types of AGM alerts, templates. This one, I'm going to go through that in a while. Essentially, you can select the type of AGM meeting reminder email templates to send to the client. So what will happen is that depending on your general details, so again, it's pulling out or reading through your company's general details, company dates over here, your bulk reminder in your settings, automated reminder, AGM reminder, we will base that reminder on that. So always make sure that your company dates are accurate and correct so that you get an accurate reminder for those key dates. So similarly, under your document reminder, so here you're able to add in your document reminder for annual returns. So I've created under your annual review, annual returns, confirmation letter. You can set up for multiple jurisdictions if you're managing. We also have for Singapore, you can set up to 30 days before the deadline of the annual returns. So that's setting up a bulk reminder for AGM before the AGM due dates and also reminder for your annual returns. Now, next I want to cover is this feature called email templates. So again, if you earlier, if you recall, I was able to select different two templates that I can use when I'm sending a bulk AGM reminder to my client. This is my default template. This is the one that CAS 360 provides. I've customized this version as well. And if you want to customize or create your own, you can simply create new and change the content of your email. Now, what you'll notice along the way is that each of these email template has a code. This is what we called a merge field code. These codes will prompt CAS 360 to pull out based on the data prompt. So for example, I want this code will prompt or pull out the client's name. Similarly, if it's a financial year end date, it will pull out the financial year end date and automatically prompt it to display onto my email template. So this saves a lot of time. You don't have to keep changing, creating multiples or a lot of email templates. You simply need to insert the code so that the system understood that I want to display the financial year and date in the body text of my email template. So whichever financial year and date recorded in my company's database, it will display into my email template. So you got over here the username. So in your core username code is your email address. So instead of typing in manually your email address, it will display your username, which is your email address. And here you can add copy and paste. So here by default, this is my default ones that I have created. I'm just going to delete that. So by default, it looks a little bit different. What I've added in here is this code, company name and company number. So how do we add these codes and where do we get this code? So again, going to your help guide and select Singapore help. This will bring you up to your Singapore page, help guide under CAS 360 dictionary. So I'm going to share this link to everyone in your webinar chat. So do bookmark this especially when you're starting with your customization journey. We've got your email template and document template. So I want to go through first the email template since we're on this topic. And in email template, it will display which email template that you can customize within the software. So for example, if you are sending let's say, document review, document deadline reminder, you can use these codes to insert. So for the email template, it's a little bit much more easy to customize as the code are much more intuitive. And also the codes are pulling out from data itself within the system. So the codes are much more dynamic as compared to the ones with documents. You can see right over here. So these are some codes that I've pulled out. If I want, for example, the annual returns, I can just simply copy and insert that code onto my CAS 360. So here an example of added in the text. So every time I send out the client, it will display whichever annual return year of that particular client, the name of the client, and any text that I've added in to my body text. You can also add in your signature to show that this is actually really coming from you as the CorpSec preparing the documents. And coming back to these templates, you can see that it will also display to you the code, what this code represents, and where this information coming from. So for example, company UNs, if you want to display the UN number for the email template, for example, over here, I'm going to come back to my email templates. You can see that I've got annual return for company name and company number, for example. Let's put in there. So what it does is that it will pull out the company name. It will display also the company number based on the code that I've added. So that's essentially like prompting the data to display onto the email templates. So this is a little bit more, email templates are much more dynamic with the codes. Now, what I want to go through is your next one will be your document template. So, but before that, if you have a custom email template, you can set them as a default. For example, if you have updated the ones, let's say I have updates, I can just click update and make it as a default setting. So here I could just open up my templates for email template. If I want this as my default, I can make it as default. All right, so any questions for customizing your email template before I go to my CAS for document templates? All right, so next topic I want to go through under the settings will be your document template. So this is a very common ones in team. So similarly in document templates, we do use the code, but the whole process is a little bit different. The reason is because that unlike email template, which is all seamlessly through sending, the codes are very dynamic and they're just sending an email. It's all cloud-based in a sense. Whereas for document templates, it's trying to read a Word document file. So that's why there are certain limitations to it. So when you're in the document templates, by default, it will select Singapore. If you are organizing, or rather you are customizing, let's say an offshore template, for example, you can, the offshore templates will be pulling out from Australia category. So this one, you'll have to save it under Australia. So for this exercise, we're only gonna focus on Singapore first. And you can see these are the list of documents category that you can customize. For full list, again, you can view it onto Singapore Help Guide and CAS 360. When you're customizing, it's a good practice to always open up this link and click on document templates. This is to help you see the directory of all the documents that are custom, that can be customized for Singapore. A very common one will be your director minutes and resolutions. So we'll click on that. We'll use this as an example. Now, here I'll have my search document set filters. If I want to look for my director resolutions, you can see right over here, director minutes and resolution category. And here I've got my director's minutes and resolution. So by default, you can see that I have a system default settings, master template, and for director and single column. Now, because this is a system default, you're not allowed to delete it. This cannot be removed. Otherwise, you won't have a template at all. So this is set as default. And when you're starting with customization in CAS 360, what you'll need to do is first select the category, locate the master templates, and select which master template that you like to use as a guide. So here I'll click on download all. This will open up a single column. And because in this document template category, this is a director resolution, which means that any company changes that requires director resolution, any transaction that requires director's resolution, whether it's an officer's change, a shareholder's changes, or even your annual return and AGM, director's resolution, all the text paragraph can be found in this single document. So what you'll see right now is that you can see that we had your change of address, text paragraph. You've got your appointment of the various types of officers, whether it's a director, your secretaries, managers, alternates, CEOs, managing director. You've also got your share transactions, director minutes and resolutions. So all the text paragraph are saved under this single PDF, single Word document. So whenever you're customizing, for example, let's say I want to customize my director resolution text paragraph, for example, I can simply try to locate that particular text paragraph and add in whichever additional text that I like. Let's say, for example, so you want to have this example bold, and any additional text, I'm just going to put in add on text appear here. It will display onto your director minutes and resolution. Now, going back to my my list right over here. So let's assume that I want to add in additional information or display a different way of disclosing the director's information, and also I want it to be like uppercase, for example. So in this category of director's minutes, you can see that there are a lot of codes specifically for these documents. So when you're customizing, something to think about and also something to remember, if you're customizing a director's resolution, you will need to ensure to use only the codes under this list. So you can't be using the code, for example, if you are under your document templates and you want to customize your members director, but you've selected member, it will not work as well, as because the CAS 360, it reads the way it has been developed, it reads an external Word document. And there's a different types of categorization system. So because we're customizing a director resolution, so what I'll do is I'm just going to select I want to change the way I display my my officer, for example. So here I will scroll the way onto my miscellaneous. So you can see I've got my miscellaneous over here. And if I want to display the name instead of uppercase, like a uppercase of a name, I want to display to uppercase, I can simply click uppercase and go to my document. So this exported Word document. So I'll insert this code so that it will display how to uppercase. And I want this bold as well. So one of the few things you'll need to make sure as well is that you had to follow the exact way of inputting those codes. Otherwise, if there are spaces, for example, or it was not inserted correctly based on this instruction, it will cause an error, system error into your CAS 360. Means that the CAS 360 is not able to read the document with a foreign code that's not recognizable. So make sure that you add on those inserting the code correctly. Now, something that's very common as well is customizing your header. So you can see that this particular header is very generic. This applies not just for Singapore, for across all jurisdictions. And for Singapore, there is a type of template that a lot of users use. So I do have this template that I've customized specifically for Singapore. So after this training section for the next couple of days, we'll be sending out this template. So I'm just going to give you an example. So this is my custom template for a head. So how did I manage to use this one is essentially that I kept the rest of my header, the important header fields. So everybody can see. You can see that I wanted to be able to display my my company name, company number, meeting. I don't really want to display my meeting address. I've removed my date sign, so I don't really want to display that in my header, but I do want to still display the type of document, whether it's a director's resolution or it's a members and so on. So again, going back to this system default director resolution, so I'm just gonna do this example over here. And here I'm gonna just remove copy this code. So these are the ones that I want to display, for example. And these ones, I don't want to have them display. These ones as well, I want to display that. And I'll just remove whatever that I did not want to use as my header. So I'm gonna remove that. The simple one. And I'm just gonna copy what you essentially the quite common one. So a lot of the Singapore headers, they like to put in the incorporated in Republic of Singapore. You've got my company number, so here I'll just try to grab these ones as well. So you can see this is the company number. I'll put that over here. So I also want to display these texts over here, the company and my document name. So document name is either whether it's a director's resolution or members, that is the document name. Now, because most of the time you have additional writing text, for that particular document. You don't just add in, oh, it's a document director resolution. Some practices, they have additional text for that. So I can just simply, copy and paste what I've got and add that in. Now, so these are the codes. So essentially, it will display the company name, the company number, and the document template. Now, there's also another extra step that I wanted to do. So I want to make sure that these particular code over here, the company name, is not only a proper case, like a standard way of text, but I want it to be displayed as uppercase. Now, unlike a free text, which is your sentences around here, you cannot simply put them as uppercase. So what I mean is that you can't change the code to company and uppercase. It will not work that way. So what you'll need to do is, again, going back to your director resolutions CAS dictionary list, we're going to use this same under miscellaneous. This is all the way down to the list under miscellaneous. Copy that and make sure that this is inserted exactly as how it was displayed over here. I'll go back to my code, to my template. And I insert this code. This code will instruct CAS 360, the back end, to display this particular code, the particular code into uppercase. Similarly, I'll use this into this code. I want it to be consistent to the rest of my sentence, that all it's uppercase. And I also want to make sure that this is bold, so I can put this as bold. Right, so now that I'm happy with that, I've already created my header for these ones. So I'll just simply save this format, for example. And here I'll go back to my CAS 360. Again, under settings, document template, search for my director resolution category. So this is my director's minutes resolution category, and upload my custom template. So you can set this as default as well, so that whenever you generate a director's resolution, your custom template will be used by CAS 360. So an example over here, if I were to go on, I'll select this company, I'll do a very basic reprinting of appointment of director. So here I'm just going to click prepare forms. And if I were to preview my director's minutes and resolution for this particular company, as you recall, I set it as a default. It will display the text paragraph that I have amended. So going back to CAS 360 as well, so we have another customization, what we call labels. So I think this is something that I might have not covered for level 1, but I'm just going to give you a bit of idea. So labels are essentially helping you to group up the company. So for example, if you have different types of teams managing different companies, you can group them up with labels. So labels can also be used in your document template. So an example over here, I've got, going back to my settings, document template. I'll go to my member, one of my members, resolution template. You can see I've been testing out different templates as well. And what I've done is I've created a label. So to assign a label for a document template, first you're going to go to your company, and all the way down you will see you have the ability to click on the pencil icon right over here. So hopefully everybody can see, and click the pencil icon. This will allow you to create a label. So let's assume unaudited, for example. So once I go to my settings under, let's say, my document template, and I'm going to use the similar ones over here. So this is one of the example of a template that was shared by one of the users. It's a custom template that they want to apply whenever they do a members AGM document. So just gonna quickly open up an exam, this sample document for your test. Just have a look at how it looks like. So I can also download from here. So one of the custom template is they've created their own template. This is basically specifically for an audited AGM. And again, similarly, how we've done this is that the user, firstly, they needed downloaded the template, the master template. So here, I'm just going to download members template over here. And similar to director's resolution, you can see that all the members text paragraph, members minutes text paragraph are all in one single Word document. That includes your AGM. So if you scroll the way at the very bottom, you can see your AGM templates right over here, director's minutes for audited, unaudited financial statement, and so on, can be found in your single Word document for members minutes and resolution. So you'll have to scroll all the way down to locate those. Now, what our users have done is that because they have their own system template, example over here, they want to use this. For example, what they've done, they've added in the code. They follow exactly how they wanted the code to display in the header. Their text paragraph, they want to display the AGM date. Also the chairperson over here, and so on. So what they did is that they kept what text that they have, but essentially, because for example, in this example over here, so I'm gonna do an example. It's quite very big. Their templates even a little bit more simple in your audited financial statement for director, whereas with the ones with the Singapore, the master template that we have for Singapore, if I were to scroll all the way, we have much more information. So you can see right over here. So this is actually the one that they've used. This is director's statement in audited financial statements. And they copy some of the codes in their own template as well. So going back to that, you can see they've added those codes. And these codes, again, can be found on your, going back to that section. So I'm just going to close these. Again, this can be found in your list of CAS 360 codes for document templates. So for this case, it's a members, minutes, and resolution. So they've retrieved this particular code in this list instead. So whether for your AGM date, your financial year end date, the election, your shareholders, and so on. So I'm going to go back to that code over here. You can see, so if they've added in the current auditors as well. So they've pulled this thing out from, actually for the members, one of the codes over here, they copy and paste it into their members AGM document. And most importantly, what they've also copied from the system template is this particular section over here. So this is very important. So if you want to incorporate, use your own template and upload it, make sure to copy and paste this whole entire format of the header. Otherwise, you will receive a error in your code. So here, the user has uploaded, copy and paste it into their AGM, audited AGM members AGM document. And now that they're happy, so I'm just gonna correct some right here and click save. I'll just save this in as well. And when you customize this document, you can simply go again to your settings and upload that document. I'm just going to delete that for a sec. Again, simply go to upload, select your custom email template. And this time around, because you want this particular template to appear when you're generating a audited members AGM for audited financial statement, for example, you can simply, instead of selecting that as a default, because this one will appear to all your members resolution, make sure don't do this. What you'll need to do is simply assign a particular label. So for this case, audited AGM. So if I were to example, I'll go to my members. Again, I'll use an example over here and select probably one of the companies. This one is one with the audited fund, for example, and prepare the AGM. So the beauty of doing attaching a label to that document type is that in your document production, you will have the ability to select which templates to be used and applied for this transaction. So for this case, I want all the templates that has a tag with audited AGM. So for this case, for right now, we're using only that template, the members template. And automatically, if I were to preview this members minutes or resolution document, that document will appear. If I were to set it as my system, just a system default, for example, it will just display the default settings. So in your template as well, you can see that in the option, if I were to select my document template tagged with audited AGM, for example, you can see in my options, automatically that's the document template that's used by the user. So if you provide, you can see that earlier on, so it pulls out my AGM date. These are the codes. I didn't put in any uppercase, so you can see that it's a proper case. Pulls out the chairman. We've also remembered that the user has added in the financial year end date for this particular companies. And depending on which settings of how I want my signing, this can be adjusted under your, again, options. And right over here. If you don't want the chair, include the chairperson, for example, you can switch off that particular toggle button. So this is how we use our custom template and assigned these custom templates using the labels. So any questions so far for customization of this template? Right, so there's quite a number of things that you can customize over here. So another example, usually what will happen for customization, for example, if we go to directors resolutions, you can upload as many custom templates. So for example, if you have one of a good example will be your AGM templates. So if you have a AGM unaudited or audited financial director's resolution, you can just upload that code. Make sure that the code that you inserted are accurate and true. And instead of setting it as a default, as because you don't want your director's resolution default for other company changes to use this code, what you'll want to use is a particular label instead. All right. So that's for customization of template in CAS 360. Now, the last one that I want to cover is what we call the freeform documents. So in CAS 360, whenever you want to add in any documents that are not generally produced by the system, things like onboarding or agreement forms, you can add this particular document under our freeform documents. So to add in freeform documents first, what you want to do is click on freeform and you will select create new freeforms. In the freeforms, it will prompt you what's the document type. So for example, if you want to say agreement form, example version 2, you also be document. You can select whether minutes resolutions, letters, or freeform. When you select these two, it will automatically, the system will automatically create your header based on a minutes resolution header of a system default or letters. So an example, if I were to select that, and it's the director, add in my text, click next, and you can see that the system default header will appear. Now you can select the system default as well. For Singapore, you can see that this one I have customized. I'm going to show to you how it will look like if you want to use this header to be displayed. But by default, it will show up something like this. So again, you can see that this template doesn't have the word master. Therefore, this is a custom free-form directory resolution template that I have uploaded. So I'm going to go back to that template as well. So let's say if you are using a freeform instead of the ones with a document style, you can see that right over here. I'll create maybe whether it's a company or contact. If it's a contact level, and then click next. And you can see it will be freeform instead. So whatever text that you want to copy and paste into this body text, you can just copy and paste in it. Again, similarly to director minutes or your document templates, we do have a code for freeform, which can be found again into your CAS 360. So for example, in your body text, you want to be able to pull out the contact name to appear into your resolutions. We've also got whether it's lowercase, uppercase, and you want the contact's address, for example, to appear that in that body text, you can insert as well. So once you've done that, click next. Again, it will be free form. You can either save and proceed, or when you click save and proceed, what will happen is that the system will prompt you to select which contact that you want to apply for this particular agreement form. So let's assume I'm going to select maybe, again, Veronica Tan. Click proceed. And you can see that in the prepare forms, it will pull out Veronica Tant and also her contact address. So going back to the template, so earlier on, you've seen that I've got also a custom header template added in my freeform. So these template can be found in your freeform templates over here. So you can see that in a company, I've got my company freeform documents layout, context list layout, financial year end. So one of the things that you can also search and locate is the change of financial year end. So again, simply click on prepare forms. If your company is going through a change of financial year end, you can locate it under your free form. So one of the layouts that I have custom system default, for example, you can see right over here, I've got a layout that I have uploaded. I want my header to display exactly as the rest of my director's resolution. So I've uploaded this instead into my text paragraph. So at the end of the session, I can share these template for you, for everyone who's attended this level 2. You will receive a dummy template with this custom Singapore header style template, and you can start uploading them onto your freeform template under director's minutes resolution, and also settings and document template for director resolution and members minutes. All right. So that's how we do a freeform documents in CAS 360. All right. So any questions so far for this particular topic before we end this session? All right. So for those of you who have not received, I'm gonna share this particular link one more time in our webinar chat, so you can have a look at this manual as well. Otherwise, this is the end of the session for um, our level 2 and the end of the training for this year's casualty training. If you do have any questions, feel free to send us through your questions to me or to our support so we can guide you and answer all your questions. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone, for coming for my level 2 sessions. Our next training session will be in Feb. So if you do wish to do a refresher, or if you have any team members you have missed out this training, do register it through our My BGL portal. All right. So thank you, everyone, for this session. Hope you have a great evening ahead.